Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode I'm going to show you how to add some long exposure clouds to a long exposure photography. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Rameli. I am a French photographer living in the beautiful city of Paris, France, but also the very sunny city of Los Angeles, California. And I make 1 to 2 tutorials per week when I'm not traveling. I've been traveling a lot lately. In this episode I'm going to give you two raw files, one photo from Paris and one cloud texture that you're going to play around with. If you want to get that, and by the way, if you want to get any raw files from any of my past episodes, all you have to do is sign up to my website, create an account, log in. It's free. Once you're logged in, you can go to any of my YouTube videos, and under every YouTube video there is a link. If you're logged in and you click on that link, you get right away the raw file for that episode. It's a little trick, it's something that we did a change, but I think it's going to make it easier once you understand. All you have to do is be logged into my website. Okay, I want to talk to you some news about what I've been doing. I've just been traveling so much. I was in New Zealand with Trey Ratcliffe, where I had a lot of fun working with him on a workshop. Then I spent a month in Paris teaching my Paris in Spring workshop, which I did for 2 weeks. We had a lot of rain, but a lot of fun. I also played around with the DJI Phantom 4. I'm trying to learn drone video and drone photography. Amazing. I'm having so much fun with this new toy. I did a lot of videos around the Mont Saint-Michel, which is really a cool place. Also, in the same time, I'm trying to learn film and old style photography with a 4x5 camera. I also bought a Mamiya 7, which is an old medium format camera. I think film is awesome. I've never tried it because I got into photography, digital was already very big, and I really want to learn everything that there is to know about photography. And maybe I will do tutorials on 4x5 and large format photography in the future. But I'm shooting many with the Sony a7R II these days, which I really enjoy. Also, about a week from now, I'm going to open up a coaching sessions where I'm going to take under my wings 20 to 30 photographers around the world. For now, it's going to be a limited number because that's how much I can handle. And it's going to be a lot of work. The whole idea is based on my Landscape Masterclass course, where you will have different assignments. And basically, for example, take a long exposure photography of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You send a photo to me and then I critique them. And if you pass that criteria, you pass. If not, I tell you what's wrong with it and you go and reshoot it until it's perfect. And like this, you're going to have 40 to 60 challenges to do. Once you've done that, you will get a certificate that you're a Landscape Masterclass degree. That's something, it's all I've learned in 12 years that I'm going to try to teach you. And after doing a lot of workshops around the world, I realized that coaching one-on-one is really the only way to communicate the knowledge completely, because people need feedback on their photos. Sometimes they don't know if they over-retouch it or not, or what else they could do with it. So that's something that I'm going to start. It's going to be very, very limited. So I'm sorry if I cannot take everybody, but there's so much hours in a day and I can only take so many students. But anyway, that's going to be coming out soon. But for now, let's go to Paris and let me show you this really cool trick where you can add long exposure clouds to your long exposure photography. Alright guys, so just before we get started, I just want to remind you that if you go to my gear page on photosearch.com, my website, you have the link in the description of the video, you can get 15% off on the full Creative Cloud or 20% off on Photoshop and Lightroom. It's a deal that I have with Adobe, so if you're a Creative Cloud member, you can even renew your subscription with this discount. All you have to do is create an account on my website and you get access to these free options. Voila, let's jump into today's tutorial. So, this is a tutorial that I did a few months ago, where I shot this photo. This is a panorama of long exposures. I think there is 7 photos in this long exposure. Each exposure was about 3 minutes. And the reason I want to show you this, well, first you will find a link of that tutorial in the description of the video if you want to see it afterwards. But also, look how the clouds are going in one direction here, one direction there, one direction here, one direction there. It's going to be important for the rest of the tutorial. There is no retouching. This is really how the clouds was, just because the fact that it was 7 photos and different times, there was a bit of time. The wind was changing, giving different shapes to the wind. So now I'm going to take this photo. This photo I shot, and again, there is a link in the description of the video on how to shoot super long exposure. But in a nutshell, let me go back to this. This is 378 second exposure, which I believe is over 6 minutes and 18 seconds of exposure at f16 ISO 100 with an ND10. It was a very cloudy day, and I love this photo, and I'm going to show you the look I'm going to go for on this one. It's a special effect you get with this ND filters. If you want to see, also check my gear page if you want to see what kind of filter I'm using. The problem is that it erased all the clouds. There was a little bit of clouds. It was a pretty bad weather day, but there was not much contrast. And when you do this very low exposure, sometimes you can lose the sky. And I want to show you a little Photoshop trick where you can put it back. But first, let's do some retouching. On this one, I don't like the color so much. Usually when I do super low exposure, it's because it's a bit of a rainy day, and when there is rain, when there is a white cloud, usually the colors are not super nice. So what I do is I go to black and white. So, first, let's open up the shadows and bring down the highlights and do the black and the white. If you follow my channel, I do that all the time. It's just to bring out the histogram to make sure everything is well balanced. Okay, then let's jump over to black and white, and let's play around. Let's use this tool, very important tool, this tool here, the target tool. You click on it, and I want to click on the water. I want to make the water a bit more white. So let's see here. Why is this at plus 100? That's why it's at plus 100. Make sure you don't go to too big of value here. It can give weird stuff. What happens is that when you have a white sky and when you do a lone exposure, what happens is that the river becomes a mirror, and the white sky being white, what happens is, the sky, the water becomes white, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to do that on this one. I'm going to add maybe a bit of clarity. I don't usually do it, but on this one I think it's going to work. Add a bit of contrast, but and also I want to do some maybe make it just a little darker here. Oh, no, actually not, because I'm going to do a little trick afterwards. But here, I'm going to crop the photo because there is some weird thing here going on, which I don't like. I'm going to take that out and take that out. Voila. Okay, then I'm going to take a graded filter, and I'm going to make this much whiter. So I'm going to make a filter here at the bottom, and I'm just going to boost the exposure. What I'm trying to do is make the water white. I think it's a cool effect. I see that a lot on very low exposure photos because, again, the river becomes a mirror for the white sky. So I kind of like that. I think I'm going to do even more, but I'm going for that. I'm going to take a little this tool, the spot removal tool. I'm going to remove this spot. And actually, I had that center cleaned just before the shot, but you see there are still spots. And believe me, when you do low exposure, very low exposure, and you will find spots on your sensor. It's unbelievable. Okay, want to make sure I get all the spots. I can click on visualize the spots to make sure I got everything. Looks like I missed one here. I missed one there. Okay, voila. It's kind of nicer, isn't it? So now, I think I'm going to bring my blacks a little down. I really want drama on this one. I love that photo. I don't know. I really like it. I think I want to make a big print, put it in my ear. Oh, see, something weird happened here with the spot removal. When that happens, that's because the source points that it was taking to correct was too far off. So you can bring that back. Okay, that's even worse. Let's see that. And that's even worse. Okay, let's just erase it and maybe just make it smaller and redo it. See if it, yeah. That's a little bit better. Yeah, but it still did something weird here. I'll correct this in Photoshop. That's the problem sometimes with the spot removal tool. It doesn't always do a good job. Yeah, I did something weird here. I'm going to erase that too. Make this a little smaller. Voila. Yeah, it's still something there. Okay, fine. We'll patch that up in Photoshop. Okay, now, Photoshop being the big brother of Lightroom, I'm going to take a little brush, and I want to make some part of the water even more brighter. So I'm adding exposure. Remember my settings, I have a bit of exposure, and my flow and density is never at 100, always between 70 and 80, otherwise you see too much the brush stroke. I get a lot of people sending me photos these days with a lot of dodge and burn, and the problem is that we can see the brush strokes a little too much. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the water more white because that's the effect of long exposure. Okay, and that's kind of cool. I kind of like that effect. Let's check out the noise. I think there's a bit of noise, especially here. There's a little bit of noise, so let's jump over to the noise reduction. And I'm going to go for a strong 30 noise reduction. And I'm going to go for a strong 70. You have this formula where I take 100 and I take whatever I put in noise reduction. So 30 minus 100 minus 30 of noise reduction. 30, I'm sorry, gives about 70. And of course, I'm going to do my masking. I don't want to sharpen anything which is flat, so I usually put my masking between 50 and 60. Okay, well, we still get some little dust here. That's funny, I didn't see that. I'll correct this in Photoshop. Okay, so now I am ready to jump over to Photoshop to show you the trick that I want to show you, because this I've shown you before on long exposure. Here we have a little thing here. Okay, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to edit, and edit this in Adobe Photoshop 2015.5, but this would work with 2015, 2014, you know, anything with things, the creation of the Creative Cloud, because this is when the Pass Blur tour came out. Okay, I want to show you something. I'm also going to take a sky here, and I'm going to put it, right edit, and put it into Photoshop CC 2015. Okay, here is a sky. So, I want to show you something. So first, let's do some cleanup that I couldn't do in Lightroom. So you see here we have some little weird things. So I usually take the spot hitting brush tool, and I just, you know, go over it, and usually it does a good job. Yeah, there's something there. I think let me jump Z for zoom. I'm going to zoom in 100%. J to take back the spot hitting brush tool. There's some little things here and there, but you won't even see on a video. I'm not going to spend years on it. Anyways, you get the idea. I'm going to zoom back to fit screen, even zoom back out a little bit. Okay, voila. So that's our photo. Now, trick number one. I want to go to, let me see here. I want to go and arrange my space for the default essential. Okay, in the default essential, which is Windows Workspace Essential, you have what we call the library. Now, this is something that came up a few months ago, and I use it all the time. I think that's one of the reasons it's amazing to have the Creative Cloud, because they add all this stuff, you know. And the way it works is that you have basically different libraries. If you've seen my tutorials before, you see I have a library called Skies. I have a library called, for example, Flare and Glows. And I have a library called, for example, bokeh and licks, for example. Okay, that I can just drag and drop on my photos and go for it. But I want to show you how you can add sky. So here is something called Search Sky. Actually, I have another one here, which is here, Skies. I have more choice in this one, Skies. So how do you create this? Well, first you have to make sure you are in Windows Essential. You have to have Photoshop CC. Okay, you go into the library. If library is not open, you can go to Windows Library. Then what you do is you go here and you can click here on Create a new library. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to create this one called Sky 2. Okay, I'm going to click Create. Now it says your contents anywhere. Use libraries to organize, access, and share your assets across desktop and mobile. Meaning that whatever I'm going to put here is going to go on all my versions of Photoshop, including, you know, Photoshop Mix or Photoshop Touch, anything that I can have on my mobile. When I reinstall Photoshop, when I log in, if I log into Photoshop to somebody else, you know, I put in my login and password on the Creative Cloud, boom, it's going to be back. So now, remember, I brought in this cloud. So all I have to do to bring it here is take the Move tool, and I click on the sky, and I drag and drop it in the library. And what it's going to do, it's going to put it up in my library. It's going to put it up on the cloud, in the Creative Cloud, put it everywhere. And I do that with all the assets, the textures, the sky, the bokeh, the light leaks, everything that I do that I collect. Okay, so this one, that was just to show you how you can create a library, how you can drag and drop. So all I did is I opened up all my skies in one big Photoshop file. I drag and drop them one by one, layers by layer into this, and I got this result. Okay. So now let's go back to this, and you will come to understand why this is important. Because I'm going to take this sky, for example, that I'm going to drag and drop here, up again. Okay, so I'm drag and dropping it on top of it. I'm going to right-click, flip vertical, because I want the bad weather to be on top. I'm going to put this like this, put this like this. Press enter. Now by default, when you drag and drop, it's a smart object. So I don't want it to be a smart object. So what you can do is you can just go on the layers and right click, and you can go to rasterize layer. It's going to take out the smart object mode of it. So now it's just a sky. Now this sky, I'm going to put it here in multiply. Now already it's blending with my photo. Multiply, if you don't remember, is a mode that anything which is white is transparent. And if you look at it on my photo, I got a lot of white. So it makes the sky. But it's not finished. It is just the beginning. And now I'm going to go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Pass Blur. Okay. And I'm going to click here. And I'm going to drag. Now you see nothing's happening. And I was really, this was kind of weird for me. I couldn't see, normally you're supposed to see a pass. And it's not there. If that happens to you, you go to View. Well, first I'm going to press Escape. Then you go to View, Show, Edit Pin. All right, once the Show Edit Pin is on, you can click one time, and you see there is an arrow that starts. I can click here, and click again. And you see, as I make curve, it just follows a little bit the pass. There is some little bugs here sometimes, and you press Enter when you're finished. And then you can edit the curve, and the clouds are going to take the shape of that. And that's why I wanted to show you this photo of the of Los Angeles. You can see that it's just going to mimic the wind. Okay, and once you've done that, you can add the speed, make it, and the speed is going to be, if you did a very long exposure, I would add like a, you know, I would go like 159%, something like this. Yeah, that's the kind of speed that it goes to. Okay, so it's just very simple. You can just create this sort of wind going into the sky. Okay, so it really adds a bit of texture. Let me just show you something more. I'm going to reinitialize this and start over. So when you start over, you have that basic arrow. But one thing I like to do when I do long exposure, and what I'm always hoping for, is to have the wind coming toward me. You see, and if I move the little arrow here around, it just now, if I put it up, it makes like the wind is going to move toward me. I can even do it a little, give it a little curve, you know, so that it's kind of more interesting. I can add a point here and make it go like this. Oops, maybe not like this, but like this, and press Escape. So now the wind is going sort of, I'm going to press Enter. So it's going to go up, and then it goes a bit around like this. I think that's a bit more interesting. Maybe if you think that's too crazy, then, you know, you can just edit this, make it, you know, less curvy. But the idea is having the wind coming towards me, I think is interesting. And giving it a little twist, you know, up and then a little twist. So I think that's the one I'm going to go for, wind coming toward me, because it gives more depth to the photo. I'm going to press OK, and it's going to update the top layer. Now, of course, when you do a layer, you can change the opacity. You can use masking to make it more realistic, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leave it like this. It's not going to look unreal. The whole idea was just to add a little bit of texture to this thing. Okay, so it's taking a little while to process, but boom, here we are. So before, after, it made the whole photo much more darker. So I'm going to lower the opacity of the overall thing. Okay, first, and then I'm going to create a mask here. This is the button of a mask, add layer mask. This one here, you click. By default, the mask is going to be white. So I'm going to take a brush, make sure your brush hardness is at 0. Maybe a little bit bigger size here. And I'm going to make the opacity around 38. Make sure black is the foreground color, because anything, when you paint on a mask with a black, you know, with a black brush, it basically erases. It hides wherever you're doing this. So I want to add it a little bit here on the top, but I don't want to add it there so much. So also there's a bit of a color cast in this. So to make sure I'm completely black and white, I'm just going to add another black and white layer on top. Voila, now I'm completely black and white. I can even play around with this on the sky to make it darker or stronger. But I'm happy with that, so make sure it's completely black and white. Okay, I can even lower the opacity if I want to just add a little bit of a thing. But here, before, after, I'm just adding a little bit of drama to my photo. And I like this photo, but I think this one is a little more interesting. It's a little more interesting. And so, yeah, basically that's about it. Let me see, maybe I'm going to bring it, yeah, make it a little stronger. And then what I usually do at this stage, I just close the file, and then I save it and put it back into Lightroom. Here we are into Lightroom, and I'm ready to do a sort of a double treatment. I always do that.
Let me close this window so you have more space, you can see better. On this one, I'm going to open up the shadows just a tiny bit, maybe bring down the blacks. I don't do the whole workflow again, I just do a little thing. I think this part here is a little too dark, so might take a little brush here, just brush on that building to bring back some lights. You know, also what I'm trying to do is to avoid to have tones which are too much even. Okay, and maybe even brush a little bit here on the sky to just add a little bit. You know, the sky is, texture is interesting, but it's a little dark to me. So just a little bit, you see, before the brush strokes, after, just bring back a little bit of light. So, you know, I really like that. I think it just adds that little touch, you know. So that's before, interesting photo, and that's after, a lot of drama. Okay, I can even make this a little bit brighter, but you get a bit the idea. Voila, I love doing low end exposure. I think it's an art that, you know, it's like cheating in cameras and cheating in Photoshop. Whatever that counts is, you know, creating a photo that people will enjoy. Okay, that's the final result. I really enjoyed this photo, and, you know, I really encourage you to take an ND10 or ND12 filter and go out where there is water and clouds. You need water and clouds, and play around with it. You might not do great color photos, but you will do great black and white. Okay, also, I'm very happy also because I started getting some feedback on my Landscape Masterclass course. And for example, I got this email the other day where somebody said, just wanted to give you some feedback on your Landscape Masterclass that I just finished. I decided to reprocess some of my old photos using your workflow from the class. And not only am I more happy with the result as I envisioned it, the reprocessed photo went into popular status within 9 to 30 minutes on 500px with ratings of mid to high 80s, something I only achieved on 2 photos previously. Christopher. So I'm getting a lot of this type of emails. And so I want to show you again, if you've not seen it, a full presentation of my Landscape Masterclass course. It's a bit long. If you've already seen it, I got a great news for you. You can just stop the video here right now and you don't be bothered by this presentation. But if you've not seen it, it's the best course I have ever done, and I really encourage you to look at it. I'm really proud of it. I'm getting great responses. If there's only one thing you ever want to buy from me, it's this one, the Landscape Masterclass course. Here it is. All right, so this is my Landscape Masterclass. Now this course is a completely new way for me of teaching. I've been trying to think how I can improve my tutorials so that you can get more out of it. And you know, I get a lot of emails every day, and the main thing that I'm getting is people sending me their photos and saying, oh, can you check them out? You know, I would love to have your viewpoint on it. Well, and there is something that there's a few things that keeps on coming back in terms of mistakes, mostly compositions, sometimes too much retouching, or, you know, just different things about, you know, wrong moments of light of doing photos. And I thought I would really do a course that really takes you, that's the course I would have dreamed on doing when I started. Let me show you what it contains. It's got 48 videos, almost 8 hours of training, and it's in 11 different sections. The section number 1 is called the definition of photography, where we just really look at what the definition of photography, and I give you a lot of examples so that you can see what makes a photo being a nice photo, why it makes a photo being popular or not. That's really what I go into. Of course, it's my viewpoint, it's my taste, but you know, we're getting back to basics from what the definition of photography is. Then I'm going to show you my basic setup on how I use exposure composition and how I take my photos, because taking the right exposure is really the basics of the basics. So I show you an actual live example in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. Then I really go into different example of what different f-stops you can do and how you can use this for landscape. You know, whether you have something that's close to you or far away from you, or you want to get a starlight effect, you know, what f-stop you should use in what different situations. Then we start going into different rule of composition, the rule of third. The rule of third, playing with leading lines, and I show you a lot of examples of that, framing the frame, foreground, middle ground, background, really tricks that I find over the years really help me get the right composition when I take my photos, and I give you lots of examples on that. Then we're going to go and we're going to do some live example of composition where I'm actually showing you through my camera a lot of different examples of how I compose my photos, and then we're going to go into retouching them, and then I start really getting into the different types of the lights that we have, how to make a great daylight photo come out with a lot of different examples. Daylight is really the worst moment to take photos, but there are some things you can do like black and white to really get some really cool daylight photos. Then we're going to do daylight special effects because daylight is often boring, so sometimes special effect is going to help them make them pop. You got a great subject but it was shot in daylight. Well, I'll show you how you can do special effects to make that thing really pop, that photo really have a nice light despite the light was not that good. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of presets that comes for free with the course, and that's going to help you with your daylight photos. Then we go into shooting right into the sun. Golden hour. How do you shoot golden hour? How do you set your camera for golden hour? How do you retouch golden hour? I'm going to show you an amazing app. I did a full tutorial on PhotoPills. It's a great app which you can use to find when is the sun going to be where exactly. If you want to plan a photo and you want to get the sun between two buildings or above a specific bridge, well, you can use this app to find out which time of the year that's going to be. Super useful app, amazing app, PhotoPills. Then we get into the sunset. How do we use our camera to capture the sunset properly? How to get a right exposure and how to retouch sunsets. I'm going to give you a lot of examples. Blue hour can be amazing. Same thing, I'm going to give you live example of blue hours photos, how I frame them, how I retouch them. Different things, how to get a very natural look on the blue hour. Then I'll show you a really cool app called Salt that I use every day to find when is the right time to shoot photos. Then we're going to go into HDR, and this course has a lot of HDR. I've completely updated my HDR workflow, and I'm going to show you how you can use HDR FX Pro, which is free, to get some really cool HDR. I'm going to show you how to set up your camera. I'm going to show you how to use HDR FX Pro on 3 different projects. Then I'm going to show you how to use Aurora HDR on 4 different projects, which I think is the best HDR software out there. And then all the photos we did in HDR, I'm going to take them back in Lightroom and make them a natural version of it, so I can compare the HDR version with the natural version. Then we're going to go into one of the most powerful technique there is for landscape for a natural result is digital blending, and how to blend different exposures to get the photo you really want to have. Give you 2 examples on this. Then I'm going to do a lot of live examples of shooting for long exposure using ND filters in New Zealand, in Paris, and in Venice. How I've been using this to get some cool long exposure effects and how to retouch them. We're going to go into super long exposure, 5 to 8 minutes exposure. How do you do long exposure when you don't have a filter? How to properly shoot a panorama, how to hold your camera to make a great panorama. And then we're going to go into different types of retouching of panoramas, including some of my most favorite panorama ever. Then I'm going to show you a whole workflow on how to do astrophotography, how and where to find the Milky Way exactly, how to do your camera settings, and then we're going to do different astrophotography projects together, shooting the Milky Way. All this, of course, comes as usual with source files, but the big new thing about this course is that I have a checklist. What the checklist is going to give you is 2 things. It's going to give you a sequence of study, how do you go from easier to more complex projects, but also it's going to give you assignments. I'm going to ask you to go, okay, now you learn about long exposure, go do a 5-second long exposure, a 20-second, a 30-second using an ND filter, a variable ND filter, a fixed ND filter, and then I'm going to ask you to post your photos on Instagram with a specific hashtag so that I can see your progress and how you're applying the videos and how you're learning, but also so that you can look for these hashtags and see how everybody else is doing, and doing their long exposure and doing the SDR. So you can check for the hashtags and see what other students are doing. Also, and that's not out yet, but next month I will be taking under my wing 20 to 25 photographers using this course on a special one-to-one project where I will ask you to send me the photos you've been taking as part of this course, and I will coach you on them, tell you if you made it or not, and at the end you can graduate from it. For now, this will be limited to 20 to 25 photographers, and I'm going to talk about this next month. If you're interested, you can always send me an email on my website, and there is already a waiting list for that because it's only limited to 20 to 25 photographers on the planet for now, where I really want to coach you through this course And at the end, you're going to get an actual diploma where you graduated from the Landscape Masterclass. And once you graduate from the Landscape Masterclass, you can come to a special Facebook group where I will be doing career coaching every week with a different photographer, and you can see how I coach them because I will be recording the videos. But this will be only for the people who graduated this course. So stay tuned for that. That's not out yet, but the course is out. You can purchase it and you can start getting into it. And I really think I did the best course I ever did because I give really a lot of examples from shooting to retouching on gradients, from easy project to harder and harder and harder. This is all I know, guys. This is all I've learned in 12 years. My work is in 85 galleries around the world. I've done 2 fine arts books. I'm doing a 3rd one now. There are pretty bestsellers around the planet. And I'm not saying this to show off. I'm just saying this. I've had the success with this. I've seen over the years things that work and things that don't. Well, I'm going to share you all my secrets, all the things that works. I'm really excited about this course. If there's only one course you ever want to buy from me, it's this one, the Landscape Masterclass. All right, guys, see you in one of my training videos.